5 seconds remaining.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the next game Invitational. We have Game 2 between Mineski and MSI.EVO GT on the way, as Mineski, they, well, pretty much just rolled MSI. Weak lanes, I think, or at least stronger lanes for Mineski to set them on the path of winning. So we'll see if MSI can actually come back with stronger lanes. I think that's really all they need to do to stand a much better chance at winning this game, but we'll see. I'm Mikelorus, going to be joined by GrandisV for this second game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Just weak lanes in general. And although the Stormsphere played very well given his situation, the Clockwork and Gyrocopter weren't able to hold up their end of the bargain. And especially the Clockwork, they just never found any good jumps. Their map vision either wasn't substantial enough or they just fell for one too many smoke ganks. So yeah, I think to start this game off, MSI are going to need a more stable draft. There were so many things that had to go right for them that just didn't in game number one.
Maybe it was the supporting cast. I feel like that was, like the lack thereof of MSI. They didn't really have supports that did anything. They were in the jungle, didn't really get a whole lot of stacking going, and when you have CM and Lion, those two heroes, they're fine, but I don't think they're good together. You need to have just one. You need to have a support hero that's a little bit more capable, like a Spirit Breaker or something like that, instead of a Lion, if you want to have a super passive hero like CM. I just feel like MSI, they need to actually have support heroes in the game. They also need to make sure that Storm Spirit doesn't die a million times, but that's a different story entirely.
Yeah, we'll move into this game, and already a bit of a change of pace for both of these teams. You'll see Queen of Pain, Shadow Fiend, Lina, and Leshrac band out. A lot of hate to the mid lane, but this is going to leave a lot of those supports that in game number one were very highly prized, and Gyrocopter is also available. I'd expect him to be picked up, even though he didn't have a good showing game number one. I think a lot of that does come down the fact that they didn't build very well around him. He's still a great hero.
Yeah, it's probably just going to be the safe pick here for Mineski, although this time Winter Wyvern still in. Tusk wasn't considered in the first pick phase, although maybe they want to go for that one as well. I expect some sort of combination of those. It's going to be Gyrocopter. So for MSI right now, I want to see them pick up a Tusk. I want to see them switch things up, step up the aggro, and actually try to put some pressure onto Mineski, because last game Mineski's lanes, all three cores, got everything that they could have possibly wanted with no pressure involved.
Yeah, and then some, especially in the laning stage. The Storm Spirit died twice, the Lina got so much space, but this game we are going to see a bit of a change of pace, at least in the mid lane. Storm is really the only top tier mid laner that's left inside the pool, and I wouldn't be opposed to seeing MSI pick it up.
We got Storm, TA was banned out in the last game. Always room for a Dragon Knight, always room for the more boring heroes in the mid lane, like Razor or Viper, but yeah, we'll see what they actually want to go for. I think when you have the pool that's this slim already, since all of the bans are mid lane heroes, you take a mid hero because there aren't really going to be many counters to whatever hero that you pick up. So the sooner you get your mid hero, the better in this case. Usually you want to delay it as much as possible.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. For MSI at the moment, I'd love to see something like a Storm Earthshaker opener for them. Although Earthshaker isn't the most aggressive hero, he's great at protecting the Storm Spirit in the mid lane. There's not really a hero left in the pool that can really contest that lane convincingly.
I do like myself an Earthshaker combo. Really, it doesn't matter who he's helping out. As long as you get it, you're going to be fine. Instead, we have no mid lane heroes at all. At least, probably shouldn't be any mid lane heroes. Who knows? But Darkseid towards the off lane, Bounty Hunter as a cute Ion Shell partner. And it's going to be Mineski in the end to grab this Earthshaker. I said I would like to see a Tusk from MSI to shake things up. I think they have successfully shaken things up without the Tusk pick, though. This is definitely a different strategy from them, just involving the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, they'll need a little bit more AoE follow-up to the Darkseer to really pull this combination through, but already, if they could just start getting a couple of kills under their belt, it doesn't even have to be a lot. Just get some experience up for the Bounty Hunter, get track online, and from there on out, you can comfortably look for trades. And MSI in the last game did get a couple of really good pickups with the Storm Spirit, and although I don't think they're going to get the Storm this game around, yeah, I think this is an appropriate change of pace.
So we'll see how Mineski want to actually adapt to this. It doesn't seem like they need to switch things up in such a huge way. Obviously, having the Darkseer in lane is going to be pretty difficult to deal with, as he normally is difficult to deal with. But Mineski already with the Gyrocopter Shaker, maybe even +1 if they want to go for like a Bane or something like that. They could easily stomp this Darkseer. Should Darkseer go towards the offlane and Mineski run a defensive try, which seems like, for now, to be the safest decision.
Well, with the Storm Spirit ban, we're going to see something different in the mid lane. Maybe even MSI ban out the Templar Assassin here, so we get a completely fresh slate of mid lane heroes. But as far as the other characters still left in the pool for either of these teams to pick through, the top tier heroes are pretty much all but gone. Is there anything else that really stands out?
Well, Clockwork for Mineski, perhaps. Partnering up with the Gyrocopter, showing MSI how it's done, perhaps, since the MSI's Clock Gyrocopter didn't really do that well. But Broodmother's going to be banned out, an annoyance, and it's a decent hero versus what MSI have. Not fantastic, but it's going to be the supports, actually, that MSI are going to prioritize. Dazzle for them, they really don't have any damage going on right now. They're going to need some heavy hitters if they actually want to get these kills. Once again, their supporting cast is kind of lightweight.
And preferably heroes that come with lockdown. It's going to be very difficult for them to find them. The first two that come to mind, Lina and Leshrac, were banned out by them in the first stage.
It's going to be a pretty interesting draft for MSI. I fear that once again they're going to be settling into the we're not going to do anything with our supports except for play super passively type role. And that's not really what you want to be doing when you have a bounty hunter. Like, Dazzle's a fine support hero, bounty hunter's a fine roamer for 4 position or whatever, but these are far, far, far from aggressive heroes. They're, let's just say, not Spirit Breaker, so I think is probably the epitome of aggressive 4 position. But Mineski, they're not really super aggressive, at least not super aggressively positioned just yet. If they do grab a Clockwork, then it'll be a pretty good response to this bounty hunter. I think that's probably the safest pick that they can make right now.
The hero that I'd love to see for MSI's safe lane, we're probably not going to, but it would be a Sven. Combo's great with Darkseer, just in general. Vacuum back into the Stormhammer with the Surge on Sven. You can get a lot of value from that cleave. And he has a good cast to back him up, but they can leave him for later. I think right now it's probably safer to assume that MSI are going to look for their mid lane hero.
So mid lane hero, you typically don't want to be the first one to pick it up. Mineski, if they don't really pick up a hero with a ton of CC right now, maybe we're looking for something along the lines of Ember Spirit. That type of strategy, just go super mobile and try to outmaneuver Mineski. Because other than that, like, what do we have as far as more fringe heroes for the mid lane? Like, I already mentioned some of them previously. Windranger, a hero that we also see occasionally. Really depends on what Mineski pick up right now, because there's nothing really that stops MSI from just grabbing their core farmer, whether it be the Sven or otherwise, and then just saving their mid lane selection for last. It's going to be a Rubik for Mineski.
Yeah, a bit of a damage light support duo, and a tad bit defensive, but Rubik Gyrocopter is a potent enough lane by itself against the Darkseer that you could probably leave the Earthshaker behind the mid laner if that's required, or just roam around pretty freely. This is Rubik against Bounty Hunter, so maybe you can get the track gold rolling for your own team, and I kind of like this angle coming out from Mineski. It's nice to have enough heroes to react when they go for these aggressive plays. It's going to be a Phantom Lancer for MSI, although it's still going to be a very lockdown light draft. Phantom Lancer is a potent hero in his own right, but it is against an Earthshaker Gyrocopter. A lot of early game AoE to deal with the illusions until Phantom Lancer gets almost completely 6-slotted.
Well, Mineski don't really have any great way of jumping on the Phantom Lancer right now. There will be certain situations where you can fissure into walk up and telekinesis, maybe burst down the PL. But with Dazzle behind him, it's going to be a little bit difficult. Okay, maybe a little bit less so now that they have a Zeus. So there's the burst damage coming out from Mineski. There's most likely going to be their mid lane as well. Yeah, Zeus seems like a pretty safe one. MSI, they have the Bounty Hunter, who is not going to be too happy to see the free True Sight on the other end.
Yeah, the big advantage for the Zeus being in mid lane is it's a very easy lane for most mid laners to go up against, and Bounty Hunter is very good at ganking him early on. Although Zeus probably is going to get some sort of detection pulled out to him, he's very immobile. If he pushes out a little too far, I can very easily set up with like an Orb of Venom Janata slow and just run him down. For this last pick for MSI, I don't think there are any clear picks here for them. They're going to want some sort of mid laner that can add something to the Darkseer combination, but I don't really see what that is.
Well, I mean, the lane is going to be pushed out inherently by Zeus just because he uses Arc Lightning to last hit, therefore he damages the entire wave. As long as you get someone to contribute after a Bounty Hunter first hit Janata, then I think that should be it for MSI. Like, that really is the bare minimum that they need right now. And as far as heroes that can do that, you're looking at pretty much the entire pool of heroes. Yeah, for the mid lane, nothing really screams out right now. Like, they can always go for, again, those safe heroes, your Razors, your Vipers, and whatnot. But aside from that, I don't know, just trying to think of what else they could possibly dip into. Wex Invoker seems okay here if you're going to look to lock down the early mid game, if you're going to buy space for a
10
PL.
seconds remaining.
I like Invoker, Dragonite, something along those lines. Although they function very differently. Ooh. Alrighty then. Now that's scary, but
That's
also manageable.
I mean, if you know that the mid lane's going to be a Zeus, then you just out-harass him. You take those Arc Lightnings to the face because Huskar doesn't give a damn. Then you throw fire in Zeus's face, and you don't really want to be on fire as any hero. I actually like this pick from MSI. It's not really the most common hero, but the majority of Mineski's damage output right now is magical. Gyrocopter will eventually do physical, but that's not going to happen for a very long time. Huskar's pretty well positioned in this game, and even if he, does okay in this game, he'll have a Phantom Lancer late game to fall back on. So it's not like MSI are putting all their eggs into this Huskar basket.
Yeah, fair enough. There is going to be a lot of focus on this Huskar, and if he can get off the ground and make the pick work, but if they can get Huskar to an early start, if they can get Bounty Hunter to get an early 6, things could look very good for MSI. Now Mineski very low on this last pick. It's going to be a Klinks. Okay, I really like this Klinks pick for a lot of reasons. There's very little lockdown on the MSI side, and although they do have the Dazzle armor to somewhat remedy the fact that Klinks is very physical burst heavy, it gives them something to deal with the Huskar.
And Klinks is purely physical. If he does get a Desolator, then suddenly everyone else's damage from Mineski is, well, not totally relevant, but at least going to be doing something versus the Huskar. You don't really write about the Earthtaker Rubik right clicks, but yeah, Klinks should have a pretty easy time in lane as well, although the lane situation for Mineski, now that they have grabbed the Klinks, pretty much forces them into an offensive tri-lane, right? Like, they have to put the Klinks in the safe lane solo. They are then going to have Rubik, Shaker, Gyrocopter, which is a lot of lockdown, but they're really leaning heavily on this Rocket Barrage to actually apply pressure to MSI.
Yeah, we'll have to see where they end up settling down for Mineski's side. It's going to be Jules playing on the Gyrocopter, supported by 1029 on the Rubik. Earthshaker going to be handled by Cuckoo Trolley on the Klinks, and Jesse Vash on the Zeus. There is also the possibility that they run the Zeus into the off lane, which might end up working out for them. Let's just wait and see. Looks like Zeus is going to go mid.
If Klink's going down to the bottom lane right now, it's not going to be terrible, assuming it's going to be a Phantom Lancer lane, but we'll see how MSI decide to lane this. They're going to put Royer up on the top lane as the Darkseer. I think that's probably the easiest prediction to actually make. Cass is going to be on the Dazzle. Boombacks is on the Bounty Hunter, already with the Orb of Venom in his inventory. We got Raven on the Huskar, and that leaves DJ on the Phantom Lancer. So, well, DJ did play the mid lane last time. I think Huskar is just a better mid laner than Phantom Lancer, especially up against the Zeus, but we do have pretty much across the board swapped up roles, so this is going to be a pretty interesting game. Not much that you could do as far as predictions are concerned.
No, definitely so. It'll be interesting to see who actually goes to mid lane, because both Huskar and the PL are going for very much safe lane starting items with the Tango Salve on both of them.
Well, Mineski are currently sending Shaker and Rubik down towards the bottom lane with Klinks. I don't really see the upside of putting Klinks in this tri-lane, if it is going to be a tri-lane. I don't see the upside of putting Klinks here instead of Gyrocopter. Like, both these heroes have similarly rough times up against the Darkseer. Like, Ion Shell spam is really annoying, but at least Klinks, once he gets level 6, can eat the Ion Shell creep and then just negate that entirely.
30 seconds.
I would like to see, if it is going to be a tri-lane, Trolley and Jules switch places.
Yeah, I think I'd like that as well, especially once Klinks gets more points up in the Searing Arrows. He can clear out the Ion Shell creeps a little bit easier than the Gyrocopter can, and there is more killing potential down in bottom, but yeah, lanes haven't shaken down just yet. We're going to look for the contention of the bottom bounty rune, as both teams are there in forest. Looks like Jules will get the top bounty rune without any contention, and Cuckoo's going to lead the charge down towards that area, and Jesse Bash is going to be completely blocked off. That's 2 bounty runes to the Mineski side. Already a quick start for them.
Well, GG guys, we're going to game 3. Mineski just won. You really don't want to let the enemy team get both bounty runes. Mineski, or MSI rather, not with the best heroes to contest, but not even trying to poke and prod, at least on the top lane, is a little bit questionable, I would say. Looks like this is going to be a Phantom Lancer mid lane with Boombacks potentially to help out versus Jesse Vash. Yeah, Ring of Protection, not really what you want as Phantom Lancer versus a Zeus, so he's probably going to be wishing that was a Magic Stick instead.
I think they kind of expected the Zeus to go to the off lane based on this lane situation. If you put the Huskar down in bottom, oh, speaking of Huskar, he's disconnected.
So is this a situation for manners from Mineski, or do you just go for this since Raven shouldn't have been in that position in the first place?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Could you even Fisher block Raven right now? I feel like the cast time is a little bit too much unless you go for like a... You can't block him out from this one, from this angle, I don't think. But you can lift him from this range, I think. So lift up on Raven.
It's just on the edge of lift, so I think they're going to try for it. They're going to lift, pull him back in. They have the Fissure. They're going to wall him off. They won't wall him off perfectly, but so much damage is being thrown his way. The heal first on the Dazzle is going to buy a little bit more space. Searing Arrows just enough, and Trolley will draw first blood.
Well, no mercy here from Mineski, although, to be fair, yeah, again, Huskar shouldn't have been in that position to begin with. I guess also, to be fair, like, Gyrocopter probably would have done the same thing, so I'm sticking to that one, but Boombax, oh, gonna run to the courier, poke it down. It's a pretty nice pickup there for MSI. Unfortunately, not as good as could have been. Zeus took a really roundabout way of actually getting the courier to himself, so he was able to grab the bottle, and that's really all he wants. Not being able to bottle crow, yeah, that's inconvenient, but now he has this additional mana sustain. He's gonna, once again, continue to put the hurt into DJ.
And across the board, Mineski are getting a slight advantage when it comes to all of these lanes. Boombox is going to note there's a sentry in mid. He has a sentry himself and is going to place it in simultaneous tangoing of both of those sentries.
Denied.
Quick fingers for sure. Bounty Hunter, though, even if he is going to stick around this mid lane, like, can he actually do anything versus the Zeus? Phantom Lancer's Spirit Lance, like, is a good skill as far as just damage is concerned. It's pretty fine. You get the slow as well, but I don't really know if they have enough damage to actually kill off Jesse Vash. So even though Boombax is going to be here, he's going to be annoying. That's all he's going to be. He's not really life-threatening versus Jesse Vash.
Yeah, well, there is going to be regeneration rune on the Zeus now as he secures that bottom, so the courier being down doesn't really affect much. This laning stage has ended up being pretty static. Gyrocopter's stuck under his tower almost constantly, but with itself, we'll be able to sustain through, and things are stuck where they are pretty much. Although the bounty hunters tried to roam around, the only thing it got was that courier pick.
Well, we still have this top lane situation. Royer going up against Jules in 1v1 scenario right now. Again, I'm not really seeing the benefit of this right now. I guess Trolley... I guess the benefit is you could push the tower a lot easier as the Clinks, right? You get the Searing Arrow damage. It's actually going to semi-dive Raven. This is a very awkward situation for Huskar to be in. He's completely trapped in with the creeps. He's just going to take Searing Arrows to the face. Going to throw some fire towards the Clinks himself. Is there a grave from cast? No, not quite. Trolley's going to grab the kill. He's burning. Probably won't be lethal. The Searing Arrows are starting to fall off. He's going to eat a tree. And he will be just fine. Eventually, he'll slip out of there. But yeah, it's a second kill on a Huskar. And these lanes are just, once again, not working out well for MSI. Trolley, oh, still in the area. He has no skeleton walk for 1 second. Heal bomb. He's going to burn to death. Clinks is going to drop.
They'll get the return kill, and that's also a time that Clinks isn't going to be farming. But that said, Huskar's had a terrible time in this laning stage as a whole and hasn't found very much space. That kill is very important.
And now up towards top, Boombax has left the mid lane, leaving the Phantom Lancer to his own devices and putting a hell of a lot of pressure on the Gyrocopter. This Gyro has no answer to just one Darkseer creep cutting, let alone 2 Ion Shell units. So Jules is going to be tanking creep hits and might even suffer a dive right now. Royer going to put the Ion Shell in the melee creep. Jules sees Boombax, and he doesn't really have that much regen. He doesn't really have that much help. But it seems like regardless of that fact, he will survive for a little while longer.
4-minute rune spawns down in bottom. It's going to be an illusion rune sat on by the Dazzle, and he's going to pick that up for himself. So Phantom Lancer really doesn't want to leave at the moment. He's going to be stuck under his tower. Zeus has been pushing out aggressively. Ooh.
Surge out. Okay. Just messing with the Gyrocopter just a little bit. Boomback's actually going to circle around. Okay, there's no scenario where Jules turns around, but at the same time... No, okay, yeah, he's just going to be fine.
Exactly the same movement speed on both of these heroes. So Bounty Hunter won't be able to snag that one without any points in Shuriken, but mid lane, they're looking for a Fissure. He's cancel casting it. They're going to drop it straight onto the Phantom Lancer. They don't get in range for the lift, and Phantom Lancer will be able to doppelganger back under his tower.
Yeah, you really need to get that telekinesis off as the Rubik. Fade Bolt is nice, but it's only level 2 right now, and Fissure's only level 1, so it's not even going to be doing that much damage. So Phantom Lancer's actually doing really, really well considering his situation. Going up against Zeus, you would expect him to be constantly taking a beating. Now that he has his bottle and his magic wand, he'll be able to sustain through this lane. But yeah, as nice as that is, your Phantom Lancer has spent a lot of gold on Bottle and Magic Wand. You really want him to be getting a little bit more in the way of damage. He's getting a lot of last hits, but the Huskar is not really doing that hot down here. He has 6 CS. It's 5 minutes in the game. That's just not supposed to happen.
No, absolutely not. He'll get a couple under his tower and should succeed on most of these last hits. So he's going to almost double up his farm in the next couple minutes. But mid lane, they're going to open up into Jesse Bash with no mana, no hope for the Zeus. He'll be run down.
If he has mana there, then MSI definitely play things a little bit more cautiously. But Zeus only mana for 1 bolt, uses it. Good job, but gets killed off. This mid lane is actually being won by MSI. But at the cost of their bottom lane, so who knows what could have happened if the lanes were swapped up. Across the board, MSI doing a little bit better than in the last game, to say the least, but Huskar, who is not having a good time, is a really bad hero. This hero, I think more so than other quote-unquote snowballing heroes, needs to have a good start because he does fall off in the late game. His strongest point is this early game phase, very similar to a Viper.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're stuck again at a pause screen. It seems that Mineski just cannot catch a break when it comes to their connection, so we're
It's
going to
MSI
be paused.
disconnecting. It was pretty even, I think. Mostly MSI disconnecting.
Mineski were the ones that called it out in the chat, so weird.
Everyone's disconnecting. There is no blame here, except blame on Valve.
Fair enough. Well, back into this game we go. No immediate action. There's a double damage rune in bottom lane, but I don't think that's going to set anything up. And call down up top, just going to be used to farm some creeps for jewels. Things have really been very, very slow.
This is a weird situation where you have these lanes that aren't supposed to progress as they have been for these teams. So yeah, I don't even know what to think anymore. But we do have Cuckoo still sticking around this mid lane. They see DJ, but this Phantom Lancer is actually pretty difficult to kill with his stick charges that will be even filled up as they try to go for that kill. Plus Doppelganger, you have to kill him off within the duration of 1 stun, since that's the only thing they have, just stun and then damage with a fissure. And that's really, really difficult. So yeah, DJ is actually now completely fine in this lane. I don't think he needs anyone to actually help him out. This Bounty Hunter, level 4 right now, is not doing a terrible job at just getting experience.
Dire's top tower
Yeah, and Clinks is farming it up down bottom lane. He has the Aquila treads as well as the Soul Ring, pretty much where you want to be about 7 minutes into this game. And Clinks, although he doesn't have his ultimate yet, will be able to constantly sustain himself with it. But up in top lane, looks like Jules is going to be dealing with the double Ion Shell as Boombox is going to run towards. And Gyrocopter is chasing for the Dark Seer, looks for the call down. Won't be able to get enough damage, but they will respect that call down AoE. And Jules will find himself a little bit more space.
He doesn't have any true sight, however, the Ion Shell is doing its work. Not quite enough damage to get the kill, and now Gyrocopter will be backing off the bottle. Cass, though, getting caught in the bottom lane, will grave himself. Thunder got Drath a little bit too late, although I'm pretty sure Cass is still dead. Maybe they get Trolley in response. Trolley is gonna drop. DJ now looking for another 1029 to just straight TP out, although double damage doing a lot. Not quite enough. Huskar also getting roughed up by something in the bottom lane, but it is going to be a 1-for-1. Clinks is not a good trade for the Dazzle there for Mineski, and if Jesse Vash got the ultimate off just a split second sooner, they could have been in and out.
Yeah, that's going to get your complete power treads up on the Phantom Lancers. He picks up pretty huge there. Now that Huskar has about 1,300 gold, it's going to be a little bit easier for him inside this lane if he gets himself a helm and ferries himself out of salve. But Raven is completely spotted out here by an Observer Ward behind the tower. They know that he's not going to be present.
3-3 right now, and Raven's probably going to have to just back off. Although, no, Cass is coming in. Does he have any region share? He doesn't, but with Grave there, Raven could put up a deceptive fight, especially going up against his Clinks. In fact, if they dive into Trolley, they may just be able to get this kill since they do have the dust on Cass, although I think Trolley just saw that Shadow Wave, so we should know that there's more than one hero here. He doesn't know, however, that Cass does have the dust, so let's see how well MSI can mind game Trolley right now.
Observer Ward behind the tower completely spots this out, so I don't think Trolley is going to get caught.
Well, if there was no Observer Ward there, then maybe they can mind game Trolley into going for a semi-dive, but we do have 1029 DJ thinking about running into each other. DJ is playing pretty confidently for a Phantom Lancer 9 minutes in the game, but at the same time, can't really blame him. He's not going to get punished just yet. He's actually going to circle around and look for Jules, who just wants to farm perhaps, but suddenly Phantom Lancer from around the corner with an Ion Shell Bounty Hunter. This is guaranteed to be a kill, and Boombax is the one to draw it. Not going to get him level 6, but still killing off a Gyrocopter for free seems pretty good.
Fissure bottom lane is being canceled. Caster going to jump onto Raven. Raven does have a shallow grave. He's got a leap forward for the Clinks. Trolley is going to be dropped very low, and in fact, that should be lethal onto the Clinks. Nothing that he can do there, and Raven will survive under his tower.
Thunder God's Wrath again being used, but not to too much avail. Phantom Lancer still chasing forward. Doppelganger Lance going to connect into Cuckoo. Has a fissure to perhaps disengage, but already DJ is right in his face. There's another Lance coming on cooldown soon. I think Cuckoo's just dead right now. 1029's coming in. DJ doesn't have another Lance just yet. Cuckoo once again being chased out. Jesse Vash is here, but he's taking the damage from the illusions now as DJ really wants to kill Doppelgang down to the low ground. Maybe this is a little bit too aggressive from DJ because there's no fissure. Gonna loop around to the north. Trolley's gonna come in now. He's another Doppelgang in 3 seconds. That was a super aggressive dive, yet unpunished by Mineski. Unable once again to actually land any useful CC.
Another classic example of space created. That's 5 heroes in the mid lane where Darkseer and Huskar are farming. So your armlet is going to be coming up pretty quickly for the Huskar, although it is granted a late armlet. He's caught himself up nicely after an abysmal start.
An armlet on Huskar, you can do some really broken things with that, but also combine that with a dazzle and things get absolutely insane. Like, he may be at 1/10 of his HP pool, yet he's fighting as if he's at full HP with maxed out Berserker's Blood. So that seems pretty ridiculous. If he could actually manage to land that successfully. Mineski, they don't really have, I don't think, enough physical damage to really cut through him in a convincing fashion, especially with Jesse Vash. Oh no, he's gonna get dove over in the mid lane. DJ doesn't give a damn right now. Jesse Vash is gonna get torn to shreds. Phantom Lancer should not be getting those kills, at least not that easily. He should be at least struggling to do it, but over towards top lane, 1029 sitting under Ion Shell. No reaction at all. Yeah, Ion Shell is pretty good, and I guess if you... Okay, Jules, I don't know why you're sticking around, because there's double Ion Shell. You just saw Boombacks there. Why is he sticking around? Mineski, they're falling apart right now. That's going to give Bounty Hunters level 6. Like, he just saw the Bounty Hunter there with Ion Shell. It's not too much of a surprise that he's still going to be there 3 seconds later.
Yeah, that was very weird. I can only assume they were looking at something else on the map or something.
Bottom. Trolley gonna burn. He gets the tower, but at the cost of his own life, not really worth it. You can't afford to let Raven get back into this game, but I think at this point it's too late. Mineski, they're just throwing themselves into the grinder at this point. No lane is safe, even mid where Jesse Vash is comfortably spamming out that Arc Lightning. If DJ feels like it, Doppelgang forward with the Spirit Lance, with the Track and the Shuriken, Jesse Vash can very quickly die.
Yeah, that's your full armlet up for the Huskar, and even though it's not a great timing, this is acceptable given his start. And he's gonna have his Tranquil Boots too, although a bit awkward to have Tranquils on a right-clicking hero. The extra armor is so important, and he already started with the Ring of Protection. Well, let's see, where is that armlet? It's gonna be flying over the tree line, and there you have it. Even with the medallion on the Clinks, this Huskar is an absolute menace. I think MSI are in a pretty comfortable situation this game, and the graphs will agree. It's more than a 5,000 net worth lead for them, and experience is about the same.
Trolley thinking about going for that Huskar, but up towards top, it's going to be Jules in a lot of trouble instead. He's tracked up. Call down is there. Will be dodged by DJ. Completely unnecessary to dodge it, but the fact that he did, I'm sure he's feeling pretty good about that one. Gyrocopter has not had a good game. 0-3-0. I feel like this is the exact same situation as last game, except the teams are swapped. Like, it just seems like the Dire
Raven
not been having a great time.
They're going to stock him with Trolley. They bring in 4 heroes for this rotation, but they're not smoke. So the Huskar is now partnered up with the Dazzle, and I don't think they can get either of these kills. Cass is going to pop the Grave. Now jump in from Huskar. Trolley's tracked up. There's not really any hope for the Clinks' life. And with Armlet toggling, Raven's going to turn this one around, going straight for the Earthshaker. They'll just run him down. That's 2 track kills for the side of MSI. And although they do lose the Dazzle, I don't think that matters.
I feel like this Clinks is just not that practiced. Like, you don't go for that as a Clinks, knowing that there's a Huskar right there. Maybe he didn't check the inventory. I think that's probably what happened. Didn't realize that Dazzle still had True Sight, but it's a Dazzle going up against a Clinks. 9 times out of 10, he will have detection. So I don't really know why Clinks went for that one. It was perhaps Mineski just disrespecting the Huskar's damage output, perhaps overestimating the damage output of a Clinks. He does have Searing Arrows and Medallion, so it's a lot of physical damage. But as a Dazzle, you're not going to get like 2-shot by that. He has a Medallion himself, so he has additional bits of armor, plus he has the Grave. So that was, once again, Mineski just getting way too over-aggressive, ending up losing a couple of heroes, and, well, Raven's still just pushing down this bottom lane. What's he going to get for himself? That's actually a buckler for him, so that's not the item I was expecting. Maybe he wants to build a mech with that ring in the Tranquils, but now he's going to jump for Cuckoo. This is a 1v3 right now. Raven, can you get out of this one? Armlet toggle, not quite perfect, but now it's going to get turned on. Where's the Dazzle? Not quite here just yet. Raven will drop. It only takes 5 heroes from Mineski to kill off that Huskar, which is, I guess, again, space created.
There already is a mech up for the Darkseer, so it should be a Crimson Guard for the Huskar. Pretty interesting to see that pick up, but it's going to make him ridiculously tanky. In all honesty, I think just having more armor is what he needs. MSI, they're going to fall back after losing their Huskar, and that's a nice pickup for Mineski. But what they really need to get back in this game is Roshan. When you go for this medallion on Klinks, it is something that you can open up, and they're going to need a couple more pickups to set that up. Oh, Rubik going to get Shuriken on the back lines, 10-29. One more Spirit Lance. They will get the kill, but they will lose Bounty Hunter and trade. Zeus ultimately going to be committed. Phantom Lancer is isolated over to the sidelines. DJ has another Doppelganger, has a regeneration rune. Shouldn't die here, I want to say. They don't have a lot of mana to speak of for Jesse Vash, although he does have Soul Ring cooling down. DJ is going to be spotted out. Rock Brush is there. Can he get over to the sidelines? He is going to go all the way over and look for the TP out, and there is a fissure, and that will be the death of DJ.
Just running the wrong way there for the Phantom Lancer. So Mineski finally catching a break, and they do have, I think, enough to try to go for Roshan right now. With the amount of physical damage that they have, it's possible. Only if they actually go into it, though. So it seemed like with the low mana state of the Zeus, and not really a decent mana state on the Klinks either, they're going to decide instead to fall back. But still, it's a couple track kills for MSI, making it not the best trade, obviously. But hey, at least it's not as bad as it could have been. In the meantime, Royer, much like his Clockwork game the last time, playing a very hands-off role. Like, the mech is nice, but if you're all alone, the mech gets a lot worse. Yet he's still forcing rotations constantly up onto the top lane, and, well, Boomback's over in mid, getting dropped really low. However, he will slip out.
And with Urn Treasures, we'll be able to stick around. He already has the completed Vlads up, and there's so much armor to be pumped into this Huskar already with his Buckler, Armlet, Tranquil Boots, plus the Mech Aura, plus the Medallion, plus the Weave, and plus the Vladimirs. It's going to be so hard for Mineski to kill him off, and I think, in general, even though Rior is playing a very hands-off role, this is a better player-hero match. It's a lot better to be hands-off with Darkseer than it is with the Clock, because Darkseer can farm up a Storm. He already has the Blink Mech Arcanes.
Yeah, and once he gets a couple of items, suddenly he can kick into gear and be just as effective, even probably more so. Like, Darkseer as a hero is a really good scaling hero because of the way that Walled Replica works. Gets stronger with your enemies, so getting super involved early on with Ion Shell, he already did that, man. He can cross that off his list. Now he just has to wait for mid-late game and then be super active then when the time comes. So he is going to rotate down towards the bottom lane, has the Blink Dagger, which Mineski do know about, but he and Raven want to team up to take down this tier 1 mid. They have Jewels in their sights as well. He has Drums, Ring Requila, Phase Boots, not a ton on this Gyrocopter, and if he gets jumped by the Huskar, I think he might just die.
Huskar actually going to back off for a Belt of Giant Strength. It's a pretty interesting build on a Huskar, just a casual Buckler for him. I think he kind of wanted to go for the mech, and Darkseer already had it, so casual Buckler is by far not the worst item to have in your inventory, especially when you do benefit so much from armor. But Phantom Lancer is firing very aggressively inside the enemy woods. He has some ward coverage to secure himself while doing this. Spots the Earthshaker. They're going to walk around the corner. They're going to drop the Zeus ultimate, and that is going to be a dead DJ. Echo's not even committed, jamming it home as Earthshaker finds himself with 2/3 of the way towards his Blink Dagger after that kill.
Yeah, even though Phantom Lancer has been getting a lot in this game, not quite enough to walk around like that. If he has a Mantis style and or another health item, then you can probably get away with that, but he's not exactly a super tanky hero. He did do a lot of damage to the Shaker with just his illusions, however, so it's a little bit of a gauge of how much damage he could actually do, but they do lose a tier 1 tower in the meantime, Mineski, and they might get into a fight right now. Vacuum back on a trolley. There is no true sight, so that's a little bit awkward, but they do see 1029. He's tracked up, and he is so dead right now. Poor Rubik never stood a chance, so it's another track kill. Chalk that one up for MSI, and they can even go for a little bit more push if they want to. Up towards top, Jules doing what he can to split this one out. We have Boombacks thinking about rotating up there, but it seems like this tower should just be forfeit. The rest of MSI slide back down to the bottom lane, actually. Are they thinking about Roshan themselves? They have the Medallion, they have a Huskar, and it looks like they'll just go straight in. This is, I don't think spotted by Mineski, actually. I think they went right between the Observer Wards.
Yeah, I think so too, and even if they do spot this out, it's pretty reliable for them. Up in top lane, they cancel Gyrocopter's TP, that's a track kill for 2. And without Gyrocopter, there is no hope for contesting this Roshan.
You absolutely need the call down. Maybe if they had a Blink Dagger on Shaker right now, they'd be able to do something with a Thunder God's Wrath, but that seems a little bit hopeful considering the fact that you don't have the call down, you don't have any Rocket Barrage. And Roshan is pretty much dead already, so he's going to burn to the fire, and Raven's going to most likely grab that one. So this Huskar has 2,000 gold, a really weird sequencing of items for Raven, but when you get this much farm, it doesn't really matter the order of your items, since you can get whatever items you want whenever you want. And hell, even if Raven just goes full tank right now, like, I really like, what's it called, Heaven's Halberd on Huskar, just a ridiculously cost-effective item on the hero. He doesn't have to be going for damage, because Phantom Lancer, that's his job, and he is going to go for damage with that Manta style.
Yeah, and even without any damage items, Huskar is going to be doing quite a bit with the Burning Spears. Very weird to see him not max those out and actually put a second point in life break, but to each his own. Raven's going to be in a pretty comfortable situation. The only issue is that there is a Desolator on this Clink, so that is going to eat at him, but if he has the Dazzle's ultimate on him, that's not going to matter much. But again, another interesting build choice. Cass doesn't have a point in it.
And the Clinks can do a lot of damage to this Huskar, but assuming Cast is right behind him with the Grave, then there's no chance that Clinks actually kills anyone, and there's no reaction from MSI. At least there's a very slim chance of that. Raven's actually going to run to Trolley right now. There is, once again, no true sight on the Huskar, and it looks like with the Talisman Evasion, he is going to go for that Halberd. At that point, is he even killable? Like, never mind the Aegis in his inventory. Can Mineski convincingly kill him off once? I feel like the only way that happens is if he finds himself again in like a 1v5 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, even in 1v2, 1v3 scenarios, Huskar can at least take 1 or 2 with him with the first life. In the second life, it's not even a contention. Or at least they should start grouping up and look for these tier 2 towers. Phantom Lancer will leave some illusions inside the woods, and DJ is going to cancel Blink Dagger coming up from the Earthshaker. They have a fissure which will connect, and now DJ in a lot of trouble. Lifted up with the Desolator. They're going to be able to kill him off. Echo Slam again going to be used for the Phantom Lancer. Better safe than sorry. And with that, MSI are going to lose a bit of momentum. Darkseer's coming in from the south, and Boombox is going to run after the Rubik. Doppelganger stolen, going to go over the sidelines with call down onto 3. Blink forward. Fisher's going to connect onto 2. Double kill for the Earthshaker, and they're going to chase forward for even more. Boombox trying to run towards the north as Raven is here, going to look to turn. Starts attacking the Cuckoo. Lifted up. The Desolator's going to start going to work. Not getting enough misses. Will leap forward for the Clinks. Do they have detection onto Trolley? It looks like the answer is no for now. He's going to instead decide to go for 1029 with Shuriken bounce. It's going to bounce forward for Cuckoo as well. They'll get him. And now Raven looks for more. Blink forward by the Darkseer, surging himself forward. Has a vacuum up and running, but can't quite find it. A bit of a mess inside the Dire Woods.
Yeah, Raven just arriving a little bit too late to that party, and Mineski get away with the casualty of the Rubik. Yeah, he is a track kill as well, so it does sting, but still, they can look for more Boombacks behind enemy lines right now. Can throw the track, and if Raven gets close enough, then he will dive. No hesitation at all, since he does still have that double life. This tower is going to die. TP coming in from the Shaker, who has been playing at least the past couple fights very well. Sees Boombacks right now. Thunder God's Wrath plus Dust. But I don't think they have enough to actually lock him down. Shuriken's going to bounce through onto 3. Now here comes Raven. Deep dive in, looking for that Shaker. A couple Burning Spears. This should be a dead Shaker, although the missile's going to slow Raven down just by a little bit. Still does have that Aegis. Meantime, Trolley's killing people off in the back line. Double kill for him. Raven will lose that first life. And it seems like everyone else is going to back off. They're going to let the Huskar respawn naturally, and well, they will be A-okay. But Raven, he's not going to be okay with that. He's going to jump towards Trolley because he can, and he will back off. I'm really impressed by how the Shaker's been playing. Grabbed his Blink Dagger, and not really a super late one, pretty much right on time. And he managed to actually kill out the Phantom Lancer the first time because he mind-gamed him into doppelganging and using the Manta style because he was faking skills. So Cuckoo's Earthshaker seems like that's the recovery route for Mineski.
Yeah, and it's working pretty well for them. That's a kill on a Darkseer, Bounty Hunter, and the Aegis down. Mineski find themselves with a good amount of momentum. The Clinks is picking up his gold, and it looks like he's going to go towards a Black King bar for himself. And once they have the PKP on Trolley, it's going to be very difficult to bring down. Every time he has Dark packed up, Trolley can look to be aggressive. And even though his early game started out really slow, in fact, he died 5 times in the very early portion of this game, he's brought things back up.
And we'll see if Trolley can actually get that free space. Again, this Clinks, he is a glass cannon. He does a lot of damage if no one's actually in his face, and the only person who will be in his face most of the time is going to be that Huskar, perhaps that Phantom Lancer. But if he's able to actually hide behind the likes of a Shaker, Fissure, or something like that, then he can get these kills. Not on Phantom Lancer, that's a little bit too much. He'll just walk right past him. But yeah, this Clinks, he will be able to just do a lot of damage. He just needs the proper cover. Like, I don't think Mineski are necessarily tanky enough nor threatening enough to actually draw the attention of MSI away from this Clinks. And that's really all they have to do. Just distract the enemy team away from the Clinks and then hope that's enough.
MSI going to start pushing up towards top with the Iron Shells up on the Huskar as well as on the Creep Wave. And we'll be able to take this down pretty quickly, but that said, Mineski can contest. They have a Blink Echo Slam up and running. They have a Sanji Nyasha on the Gyrocopter. Clinks is pretty darn farmed too, and this is a risky move coming out from MSI. If they get too clumped, this could completely blow up in their face, and Clinks is on the back lines. They have detection on the ground for him. It looks like no, but yeah, that's going to be it. Things have slowed down, and MSI should just pull out here.
there's actually no detection at all, so that's a little bit awkward. They will not know right now that there's observers being placed by this Rubik. They will dust up. Cuckoo will seize Boombacks. They're going to lift him up into a call down, but he's going to get surged out. He'll be A-okay. It's a call down being used, not the longest cooldown, but MSI can definitely abuse this if they actually want to go in right now, but really they're in no rush. They have the Phantom Lancer still in this mid lane. He's farming up for a Diffusal Blade, has that one coming out to him right away. Trolley's on his tail, but this Clinks has no CC. Even with the Fissure, they don't have enough burst damage to kill off this PL, especially a PL with a haste rune. That's just not going to happen. But while DJ is running around, once again, bring Mineski on a wild goose chase, the rest of DJ's team are up on the top lane. Will they actually find DJ? They'll kill out the Courier. That's a big snipe. That's a no Diffusal Blade. However, he'll match style, jump down to the low ground with Doppelganger. It's a Courier snipe, but they will lose a tower in exchange for it.
Diffusal down on the sidelines for 3 minutes is a pretty darn big deal, and maybe even worth it for that tower to be fallen, but I'm not quite sure. After that tier 2 is down, Dazzle's going to find himself with enough gold to pick up a Gem of True Sight, so now not having detection isn't really an issue for MSI as long as the Dazzle is close by. So MSI, they're in a situation where they can group up, even though their Phantom Lancer has just lost 3,500 of his net worth.
Oh, we do have Darkseer packing the Guardian Greaves, Blink Dagger as well. Now's the time for, Darkseers in general to think about, okay, what's my bonus item going to be? What's my luxury item of choice? I'm actually really liking the Lotus Orb in this game. Maybe it's going to, return something stupid like a homing missile, but when you have someone like a Zeus and Rubik, you can get some serious value off that item. Oh, they're going to find Trolley, actually vacuum him back, slow him down with the lance, jump on him with the Huskar. Poor Clinks. Well, he found out the hard way that cast is a gem.
Yeah, helps out a lot for MSI. A really clean pick-off, too. And he really didn't even have an opportunity to pop that BKB, and by the time he could, it was too late. That's really going to put a damper in things for Mineski. Kind of feels like they need to take these 5-on-5 engagements if they really want a chance at pulling this game back, and that kind of has to happen at towers instead of Clinks just running around by himself. Clinks usually can be a hero that's very comfortable just running around looking for those pickoffs, but I don't think that's this game.
Well, he's down for 25 seconds. He has still a fresh BKB, so in theory he's still at his full fighting potential, and it seems like MSI want to go for this tier 2. Oh, we'll see if they actually want to fully commit. Again, they don't really have to right now. They would rather wait for a minute to get this Phantom Lancer, his Diffusal Blade. Skyrockets in kill power then, especially, and annoyance power when you're dealing with the likes of Shaker, who's already been beaten down by these illusions quite a bit. With no mana on Shaker, then he's going to be a sad cow, but there's no response right now for Mineski, so tier 2 tower for free for MSI. I'm pretty sure they're going to be okay with that, especially with Boombacks on the hunt looking for some sort of follow-up after this tower. Mineski, I don't really know if they're getting enough right now. They really need to get some serious pickoffs. They need to kill off this Phantom Lancer again. Or really anyone at this point. I'm sure they'll settle for anyone.
Boombacks is going to throw down a track, but he's currently undetected. They're going to lay the trap up in top as Cuckoo's waiting in the wings with a gem of his own and a Blink Dagger at the ready, but is going to decide to pull out. It feels like Mineski just aren't finding any good opportunities to actually find the jump at the moment. And do they have any smokes left? They do have one in Earthshaker's stash, so I'd like to see them go for some sort of rotation with it. And also in other news, Roshan is going to be up very shortly. In fact, that's a fast respawn timer up right now.
Alright, so that one is something that MSI obviously want to grab so that they can think about going for high ground. The problem with that is that Mineski at this point, with the Blink Dagger on Shaker, with the call down at the ready, Gyrocopter is actually pretty big also. They can, in theory, contest that Roche. They have Bolt for Zeus, so he'll be able to get some free vision into the pit. And MSI, because of that, they need a pick off right now, or soon, if they're going to go for a Roshan into base push scenario. So if Mineski are able to stave off that pickoff, or even get a pickoff of their own, they could look to turn things around and steal the Roshan instead. And if they get the Roshan, if Mineski somehow are able to grab it, then MSI are suddenly on the defensive. They will not go for any high ground push, knowing that probably Jules has a double life.
Earthshaker is finally going to get himself out of those trees up in top, finding that there really is no opportunity, but they're going to open up the Roche with Medallion Desolator on Clinks. This Roshan is melting, and MSI aren't in position to actually contest this. Do they have vision around the pit? The answer is no. In fact, the only word that they have on the map is up at the top rune spot, which really isn't going to help them all that much right now. But seems like Mineski don't want to fully commit, although it probably would have worked out. They don't know that either, as their word vision is also very lackluster, since there are gems on both teams.
I didn't quite see. I think maybe DJ got an illusion in there, so we scattered that out. Well, it seems like at this point, Mineski just don't care. They're going to go right back in, this time with full force. MSI are a little bit closer this time. Raven is coming in hot, but it's going to be a little bit too late. Double life, grabbed by Trolley. Now here comes Raven. He still wants in, although Trolley, he's invis, going to sneak right out of there. In fact, everyone from Mineski just going to walk out. No danger at all. Just everyone calmly proceed to the exits. And Mineski now have a double life, and MSI, will they still play aggressively? And they've been slowing down a little bit for a couple more items. Again, getting this Phantom Lancer farm is nice, but Mineski, they're farming a hell of a lot as well.
Yeah. DJ, although he is sitting on about a 2,000, a little bit less than that advantage over the Clinks, he hasn't actually committed that gold into any major item. Now Zeus Ultimate's going to scout out everything. Looks like they want to collapse into their woods, but they're a little too far away to do so convincingly. If they do decide to fight, it is a 5-on-5, so they need to smoke for it. And they have a smoke on Earthshaker. Looks like they're going to do just that after clearing up this creep wave.
By the way, Shaker's skill build, I don't think I've ever seen something like this. It's kind of weird. But yeah, he's level 11, so I guess he could eventually fill in those last couple of skill slots. They're just going to, both teams, walk around into the enemy jungle. Not find anything, but there is a gem right now being held by Cuckoo, so he's going to start the deward process. The gem is still being held by Boombacks. So, yeah, both teams very shortly are going to be flying completely blind again. With only one ward on the map apiece, it's going to mean that they will be more likely to clump up and roam around, else they get picked off, and that's really where Earthshaker gets a lot better.
And looks like Cast might get picked off in mid. Nope, they're just going to gank the tower. Tier 1 tower is going to be dropped very low, but glyphed up, and now TP response is coming in droves. Blink forward, they get it back onto Jay. But not enough follow-up. He's going to be able to skeleton walk away, and I don't think Raven can actually chase. And all of this is spotted out. TP out by the Rubik. He's going to be back home safely, and that's all she wrote.
That Vul Assassin, by the way. No one expects the Vul Assassin gank in the mid lane tier 1. I don't even know why the Gyrocopter dominated that, but still, it's going to be Mineski forcing out a couple rotations, forcing out the fortification. It's not a huge win at this stage since, yeah, Fortify is down, who cares, but they at least get some net worth out of MSI, get some value off the board, and now they're potentially going to find DJ. Trolley, again, cannot kill off this Phantom Lancer. Nowhere really close. He needs a stun, and the stun's right around the corner. Cuckoo, blink. There's the Echo Slam, Enchant Totem Fissure, and they do have enough damage to kill out the Phantom Lancer. They just needed someone with a stun, and PL did not see that one coming. That's a big kill. 70 seconds on the sidelines, and Mineski still with that double life can go for a push of their own. Maybe this time kill off that tier 1 mid.
Yeah, chain stunned perfectly, and even though he has the BKB, he wasn't really able to do anything with it, and that's kind of been the case with all of the BKBs in this game. 10 seconds still on Clinks, 10 second up on the Phantom Lancers, and neither of these teams have really found those big scale engagements they'd really like. Double damage rune in bottom lane could be relevant, but we're just going to wait for the next round of items to come out, it seems, and that looks to be a butterfly up for the Gyrocopter.
Alright, so it seems like this game at least has a chance of getting to a turbo late game stage. Who do you favor then? I feel like it should be rather even. Ooh, nice deny. Very difficult to deny against a Clinks who's this stacked, but Royer makes it happen regardless. Who do you think actually has the edge should it get to that turbo late game stage?
Yeah, as you said, I think it's pretty even. It really depends on the Phantom Lancer and the Gyrocopter in my eyes. The Huskar and the Clinks are more, I don't know, just there in the late game. They don't do as much damage when it comes to getting onto the backlines and just killing off everybody. It really all depends on who gets the initiation. Darkseer and Earthshaker are the ones that have to make it happen, and up until this point, it's been about a 50-50 split.
Well, this is where Huskar as a hero gets a little bit awkward in the late game. Yeah, he sometimes just naturally falls off, but at the same time, the vast majority of Huskar's itemization is going to be these kind of early mid-game items, like with the armlet, this game with the weird buckler, but he will be sitting on a lot of net worth, and that's nice and everything, but it's net worth that isn't really going to be sticking with him, so he will have to cycle through his items, get to a real, you know, 6-slot state. Maybe he sticks with the armlet because it is so good on the hero, but, you know, Assault Cuirass, Satanic, Hearts, Daedalus, MKB, you know, these items are not really going to be built up by Huskar anytime soon.
Also, the Darkseer doesn't really have any great heroes to get any wall replicas of. It's still okay to pick up a Gyrocopter or Clinks, but it doesn't really compare to like a Luna or a PL. when you catch them inside that wall. So although usually Darkseer is a great late game hero, it's not as much this game. Ooh, Trolley gonna be jumped. They have vision, they get the track off, and that's going to be Dead Clinks one way or another. He walks back in, that is going to be the death of him. They still get track gold for that Aegis kill, and they might be able to kill him again. He's gonna pop to BKB, try to run out of there. An army of Phantom Lancers is going to chase forward, but they won't be able to secure the Trolley kill. But my goodness, Raven's gonna go all the way in, lifted up by the Rubik, not gonna save Rubik's life himself, and now Trolley's gonna be dope. Diffusal played to slow him down, and this Phantom Lancer just cannot be stopped. They'll get a track over onto Jules, and although the Darkseer and the Earthshaker are tied up on the back lines, that doesn't really matter. It looks like MSI want to go high ground, and they're gonna jump under tier 4 as the Huskar's gonna go for Jules, forcing him to TP out right next to his Ancient.
Raven's going to take a little bit of damage, but he'll be just fine because DJ is still very, very healthy right now. In that engagement, Mineski were missing their most important piece of the puzzle. They were missing the Earthshaker, as he said. It's all up to the initiation coming in by the Earthshaker, but he was being driven out by the Darkseer. Notice Royer was also not involved in that fight at all because he was chasing down the cow. I don't think they were actually doing any damage to each other. The Shaker just had to get the hell out because he can't really mess with the Darkseer. Now Jules gonna get pulled back in with a vacuum. Gonna turn around, try to fight it out, but there's way too many heroes here. He'll drop for 75 seconds. He'll be on the sidelines. The Shaker was not involved because MSI pretty much 1-for-1 to themselves, saying that, okay, no Shaker, no Darkseer, we like that trade. And I think the end result, we can see why they like that trade. Echo Slam finally onto DJ, but he's going to get graved up. Doppelganger there as well. There's a fissure, slow him down just a little bit, but with the heal, he should be just fine. Now Raven's going to jump right in towards Cuckoo. Lots of damage being traded, track stolen by the Rubik. Maybe they get a retaliation kill, but Raven, with the arm, is going to turn things around. Also has a ridiculous heal rate going on with 57 per second, now 100. He's going to be back up to half, back up to full shortly. Mineski don't lose any Raxes, which is, I guess, nice. They just lose a hell of a lot in the hero department.
Yeah, and so much gold has been pulled up for the Phantom Lancer and the Huskar both. As soon as they find one good fight, MSI blow this game wide open. And, well, there's your Assault Cuirass flying out to the Huskar, I want to say. If it's not done yet, it's going to be done very shortly. This is very hard for Mineski now, given this current state of things, since the Gyrocopter is completely stalled out when it comes to items. He was once very close to having a completed Butterfly, but now after buying back, is about 2,000 gold away.
The Mineski side, did they just need someone to be on the front lines right now? If they had, I don't know, like a Bristleback, like one of those kinds of heroes, someone who could actually distract from MSI, pull some attention away, a Huskar of their own, they would be in such a better position right now. But as it stands, they don't really have anyone to stall up the enemy side. Rubik only has a single target stun, telekinesis, stunning multiple units, very rare and not something you can really depend on. So there's so much pressure on Cuckoo to perform. And if he is caught without an Echo Slam, which, by the way, does have a pretty sizable cooldown, then MSI really don't have that much to fear. The damage from Mineski is fine, but they don't really have enough to deal with this PL, especially when PL pops his BKB. Actually going for Helm of the Dominator as well. It's a very awkward Phantom Lancer build-up, but hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah, this is absolutely terrifying. They have so many auras for their team. You have the Shivas, the Assault Cuirass, the Vlads, the Guardian Greaves now, and when Huskar is low, that extra 10 armor means that Huskar can't actually be touched by any sort of damage at all. Already, up to 73% physical damage resistance. It's going to be absurd in these upcoming fights. Phantom Lancer has peeled off from the rest of his team, so I don't think MSI are going to fully commit for this. And there is track still up for the Rubik, so that is going to help a bit for Mineski in this next engagement, should it actually break out. But I don't think it will. Ooh, blink forward Fissure, they're going to try for it. Echo Slam, but the Grave is already on the Huskar. Can he turn things around? Looks like the answer is no. He's chain stunned down. That's going to be two very important kills for the Mineski side, mostly because DJ was off pushing top.
And also because Cuckoo found a good fissure. Connecting onto two, the follow-up was there. We had actually a Veil onto Jesse Vash. Not sure how much that actually factored into things, as those two heroes seemed like they were just going to die regardless, but still, it's a big pick-off series for Mineski. It's going to give Rubik his Blink Dagger, and, you know, it's always a good item to have on the Rubik. This time it is rather late, but still, now it means that Rubik can jump in on those small-scale engagements, and they could save Cuckoo's, you know, kind of large-scale initiation, if that makes any sense, for a little bit later. So Mineski's pick-off potential just skyrocketed, and crucially, they have shown off the fact that they can, in the right situation, kill off a Huskar, even with Grave on him. And that's something that Mineski probably weren't sure about before they actually got that pick.
And a lot of that comes down to the MKB on the Clink. Since you have the Solar Crest as well as the Heaven's Halberd down on the ground, it's pretty much mandatory for Clinks to have that. And Huskar wasn't able to get off a Halberd or really anything. And since the BKBs haven't been used up until this point, really, Kling still has a lot of duration up for that. And in that 9 seconds, in that 8 seconds, can very easily kill off Huskar.
Unfortunately for Mineski, the Roshan isn't really going to be cooperating with them. If they're able to get these 2 picks, slide into the Roche pit, grab a double life, then, man, that's just aces for them. But still a little bit of time before that's actually going to be back. Even if Phantom Lancer's in the area when that initiation happens, I don't think MSI will win. I don't even know if they actually want to fight that, so it's actually probably good that Phantom Lancer was not involved. But now that the Echo Slam is down, Mineski are in a period of downtime. They have 2 minutes where they don't have their most important tool. Do they just try to turtle up? Do MSI try to go for something aggressive right now?
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. There's still a minute or so until Darkseer and Huskar are back up and running. But yeah, this game is suddenly a lot more interesting. If they're fighting with that Phantom Lancer, I think their chances are much better, as DJ can run distraction for the Huskar, and they can sort of function in similar roles when it comes to just drawing attention away from the others, since they do have to blow almost everything to kill either one. Yeah, I would like a smoke as soon as they have the Darkseer and Huskar up.
Man, this is a very interesting game. Huskar has so much armor right now. I wish I could see exactly like how much damage Huskar took from what sources. Like when you're playing, what, solo queue or whatever, you could see what killed you. I wish I could see that for Huskar. Because even though Berserker's Blood makes him really resistant to magic damage, he's only resistant once he's pretty much dead already, right? That's like how it works. You're just like any other hero when you're at full HP. So I don't know, like maybe like that Zeus Veil into Ultimate Lightning Bolt combo did a lot more than I'm giving it credit for.
Well, let's go ahead and check. Since we have some time, let's pull up the combat log and hope it doesn't crash me.
Mine doesn't ever show anything. Am I just, like, stupid? Is that, like... Am I not understanding how this works?
Let's see how much damage
Oh
Zeus
my god,
did.
it does work. Never mind. Holy crap, it does work. Why has this never worked for me before? I always pull it up and there's just nothing no matter what I press, but finally there's something. Except now I don't know how to use this because it never has worked for me.
Oh, so the amount of damage that Zeus did to Huskar was pretty laughably low.
Really? That's a shame. Mostly Clinks then?
Yeah,
Do I
Clinks
press
is doing...
every time? How the hell does this combat log work? Oh god, it froze. Right. What have I done?
It is liable to break everything.
Oh, yeah, I dropped from the server. Okay, that was...
I'm
not gonna mess with it, guys. That's why I don't touch that thing, because it's scary. You do it. You could let us know.
Yeah.
It was probably just all the Clinks, right? He had so much stun duration with the Shaker.
Yeah, pretty much. Clinks was doing, give or take, about 150 damage each shot, and there was so much time where he was able to just chunk arrows at him. And with the strafe running, yeah, it was mostly just the Clinks.
That's actually... I mean, yeah, 150 a shot is not terrible, but if you look at his damage output right now, or at least what it says his damage output should be, 150 a shot is like what he's getting bonus from his items alone. He should be doing a lot more than that. So if they actually do focus on someone who's non-Huskar, like if they somehow catch, what, Bounty Hunter alone, like we're looking at killing the Bounty Hunter before you could even get into Invis.
And that's very scary. Mad pings coming out.
I think they're all happy that we're spending so much time in the pause screen right now.
Especially
keep in mind, guys,
since
this is C region right now, and it's like a pretty good time for me and Grandis because we're sitting comfortably in the States where it's, well, fine, 1 p.m., but it's 1 a.m. for where they are, and they still have a lot more games to play.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to be stuck pausing, but then again, MSI can't really play without their Phantom Lancer, so...
Nah, you just go for it. How hard can it be to micro Phantom Lancer? You just make a box and then right-click things.
You just A-click. Enemy found, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Phantom Lancer, go kill them all. Unfortunately, actually not with his build, really. Like, if he had a heart and a butterfly, or, I mean, I guess one of the two, instead of Helmet Donner to BKB, he'll be a lot more self-sufficient, I guess, like micro-less. But now you actually have to manage him a little bit. So, you know, Not that that's relevant, I'm just saying.
We should all build our heroes so that in the event that we completely fall off the face of the earth, it's the easiest to micro us.
That's why Zeus's build sucks, man. Like, what the hell are you going to do with the Veil when you're sitting disconnected in the fountain? Gotta rush that Aghanim's Refresher every time.
Yeah, then you only have to press like 3 buttons. R, refresh, R. Easy.
Yeah. If you have anyone disconnect, you want it to be a Zeus. Sometimes Nature's Prophet can be pretty good as well. That's actually how you do it, guys. You just gotta build in case of emergency. Oh no, we're going the wrong way.
No, that's not what we want to have happen. Wasn't it Dazzle? Okay, yeah, Dazzle said he was just reconnecting. I'm sure it's fine.
I thought he meant that Phantom Lancer was reconnecting. They're all
Well,
lying
apparently
to us.
not.
Lies everywhere. So 5v3, I think Mineski can bring it back.
I think so too. We kind of got a glimpse of that inside the mid lane. Didn't end well for the Huskar Darks here.
So yeah, good work, Mineski. You win. You win by default. Not really. I don't know if there are any rules or whatever. I'm not an admin. It's not my job to know.
All right then. I don't have anything to add. I just want to watch this game.
See, I just want to watch like something. This game it got a lot more interesting. It still could be more interesting as far as the interesting scale is considered. If I can English properly, then I could speak good. My God. Okay. Yeah. I just want to see not grayscale screen. That's not too much to ask, I don't think.
As long as things are moving, we're good.
Yeah. Typical C server. You know, and actually all these Asian games that we've been involved in, there haven't really been that many internet issues. At least not on the same scale as the European games that we've been involved in, which is just a shit show.
Well, we have a Dazzle back, so... Hey, we have a Phantom Lancer back. We might actually get to go underway.
We did it, boys.
We waited long enough.
I still see DJ, however, as the green disconnected color.
Well, he's reconnected.
We'll see. Is he gonna stay as green? Oh no, his illusions are green. That's weird. Okay. Well, we're good now, so we're back into it. And, well, we're just gonna sit back and farm, because again, the Echo Slam was just used. Not really that much follow-up that Mineski can provide right now, but still with 40 seconds where they don't have to deal with the Huskar. It's a really tanky hero, really threatening hero off the board. Looks like they're going to try to go for a tier 2. With a Klink's Desolator minus armor, they should be able to tear this one down without much response from MSI.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be much interest in stopping this tier 2 push. There's not really great heroes on MSI's side to pull off the creep aggro and much less save the tower. They'll be able to glyph it, that's about it. As soon as the glyph is down, the Desolator Klinks will be able to go to town, and yeah, that's a dead tower. That's going to be destroyed by Jay, and they'll be able to back off. There's finally the butterfly up for the gyrocopter, which is going to help a ton. As you said earlier, MKB is going to be well out in the future for the Huskar, and Phantom Lancer doesn't really want to be going for it. In fact, I don't think he really has a spot for it inside his item build as a whole. He doesn't have an Aquila to replace, but yeah, at the moment, we have no idea what that's going to be.
There's 10 seconds left until this Roshan is going to come back alive. There's a random bird here just channeling a tornado, which should be dealt with, but it is going to spot the fact that Roshan is alive right now. Now they're going to cancel the tornado. A little bit late there, but as Wild Wing's going to get MSI full vision. Are Mineski fast enough right now? Lancer's still just farming it up. He needs to join his team right now if they're going to actually contest this. But it's too late. The Desolator plus sheer damage of Klink's going to grab him an Aegis, and there's a cheese now in the gyrocopter with so much in the way of stats. This is the way to distribute these items, and MSI, they're just giving away a little bit too much for free. Like, they could have been fighting over that.
Yeah. The good news for the Phantom Lancer is he does buy himself enough time to finish up the entire Satanic. So it is going to be difficult to bring down, but I'd much rather have Aegis and cheese than Satanic on your core, at least at this stage in the game.
Well, MSI, they are still pretty aggressively positioned, so they're not super scared of the fact that the enemy team just grabbed Roshan, the Aegis, and the cheese. Keep in mind, Mineski, their mid lane is not looking too hot right now, but Mineski, they do have all of their ultimates back up. Well, actually, no, they don't. They just use the Thunder God's Wrath to scout, but if they do get into a fight right now, they should be able to take a decent one. At least they shouldn't just get completely rolled. So I don't really know if MSI are making the correct decision right now by poking and prodding. There's not much else they could do, I guess. Like, you might as well farm the enemy jungle so that they don't get it. But it's just a matter of time before someone, Mineski, finds an opening. Cuckoo can throw a Fissure onto Royer, jump forward, steal a Surge, it looks like. Yeah. If MSI keep playing like this, sooner or later Cuckoo is going to find a stun with the Rubik right behind him, and then someone's going to die.
Yeah, it's actually very impressive that the gem is still being controlled by the side of Mineski. The Earthshaker hasn't lost it this entire game. And, well, you have a gem still in the Dazzle, too. Both of these teams are running with True Sight non-stop. They're going to look for Jay inside the mid lane, track him up again. The Clinks doesn't have a way to deal with this, and is going to be stuck, giving vision to the rest of the enemy team. But things are very slow. It's interesting to see MSI go for such an aggressive move, even though there is an Aegis and Cheese on the side of Mineski. The potential for a turn, as you already said, is there.
And now Track just got grabbed by the Rubik. Had an Observer Ward up on the high ground, which MSI did not know about. They haven't been to this bottom lane for quite a long time, so that's why they don't know about it. But now that Track is on the Rubik, it got a lot more passive this game. Like, for MSI, before that, they were okay with just keeping tabs on Mineski. If they find a pick, that's fine. Maybe they go for the high ground push afterwards, but now that they're also tracked up, they can't really hide anywhere. So this Rubik just stole probably the most important steal that he can steal right now, because this will prevent MSI completely from pushing in. You can see MSI already falling back.
Yep, that's pretty much the play. The Bounty Hunter is going to be running around Invis, the best of his ability, but yeah, things have completely slowed down to a crawl. There is a double damage rune in bottom, and at this point in the game, double damage rune is huge, especially if you can give that to the Phantom Lancer. But instead, they'll pick it up for the Bounty Hunter. That pretty much just shows that they're not willing to go for any fight.
Yeah, you give it to the Huskar or the Phantom Lancer every single time. Bounty Hunter, not exactly an impressive hero given his kit. Lots of green there, and apparently green means supporting items, TIL. But yeah, Boombacks, well, he's sticking around the mid lane. Fissure will be dodged by this Darkseer. They still have Cuckoo, who has that Echo Slam, but now that he's tracked up, it's going to be so much more difficult to actually land an Echo Slam on more than one person. Trolley, though, he's kind of sitting in the front and baiting right now. Tracks are being traded back and forth. Vacuum will miss. Very delicate game right now, but weirdly enough, we have actually a Mystic Staff on this Clinks. He's going to go for a Sheep Stick, kind of taking the Ursa-esque route with his itemization.
Yeah, and I think that's completely fine. Just any other avenue to open up these fights will be great for them. With a Sheep Stick, they can very easily lock down like the Phantom Lancer or the Huskar before they're able to react, or maybe just kill off the Dazzle before the fight begins. We'll just have to wait and see. With the gem, it's going to be a lot more difficult than normal, especially since this is no Blink Clinks.
Well, Jules is sticking around the mid lane by himself. He's going to get vacked back into the track. Well, the combos. The Wombo combo is real. This is actually pretty good for MSI, I guess. Like, they're still farming, I want to say slightly faster than Mineski, although graphs aren't exactly telling too much. They're burning time with this Aegis right now, and Mineski are just going to eventually just let this one dry up.
Here's your Scythe on the Clinks, but the Aegis is running very low on duration, less than 50 seconds, so I don't think they can actually get anything through with this Age of the Immortal. In fact, if they go now, it could expire in the duration of the fight. It's not unheard of. At the moment, MSI are going to back off, and I think they've successfully bought enough time. Mineski will still run with the cheese on the gyrocopter, but that's about it. Zeus Ultimate? Ooh.
Did they use the Zeus Ultimate? No, not yet. Trolley's going to be
heard
spotted. And they have a gem on the Dazzle. They're going to catch him at a good angle, but Cuckoo is here. He's going to jump in, lands two-man stun. There's the Zeus Ultimate. Cass is going to be forced to grave himself right now. Trolley sitting in the middle of everything with a BKB, taking a lot of damage. He's not that tanky. Although Graves stolen by 1029, really big steal there. Trolley's still firing onto Raven, but not doing enough damage this time. Cuckoo's going to force that down to the low ground. He'll be just fine. Finally, the Darkseer does arrive, landing a wall, but no one's on top of DJ right now. He's going to go straight on top of Jules. With the lifesteal, it's not enough for the Gyrocopter to survive. It's going to be 3 down for the Mineski side, and MSI, who else can they find? Can they find anyone else? Looks like they can't. But yeah, MSI just way too tanky. No one really took that much damage, and even with Dazzle forced to grave himself, didn't really seem like it mattered.
That grave on the Rubik might have turned out poorly for the Clinks. Had they waited out a couple more seconds, that fight could have gone even worse for Mineski, as the Aegis was going to expire 5 seconds after he ended up dying the first time. MSI now in a situation where they can very easily pressure high ground with the Assault Cuirass on the Huskar. They should be able to take a barracks here. I don't think that Mineski can contest. Even if they buy back on the gyrocopter, this is going to be really difficult unless Cuckoo finds the dream Echo Slam.
They have a Veil. Veil into 5-man Echo Slam. Or I guess 4-man since Dazzle's dead. The dream. Can we see the dream? Where is Zeus anyway? Okay, he's kind of nearby Cuckoo, who didn't actually use the Echo Slam in the last fight. Didn't really have a great chance to. I mean, he was stunning everyone with all his other skills, so you don't have to necessarily deploy the Echo Slam then, but the fact that he saved it, I don't really think would have affected that last fight, and might affect the fight right now. This Phantom Lancer is going to create himself a pretty sizable army. There's a Fissure, Blink, Echo Slam, right into DJ. He's going to get Force Staffed out. The Desolator damage, not quite enough. Phantom Lancer lives. They're going to go for Raven, however. He's going to get sheeped up, brought down as well by Trolley. Jump in from DJ. Wants to get in there with a Satanic. He's doing a lot as far as damage, and Lifesteal going to get around to Trolley. Will take that kill as well. DJ not taking damage right now. Another Fissure, though, will be enough to kill out the Phantom Lancer. Jules, he's going to get right back onto Boombacks, however. Call down is there. Do they have any True Sight, actually? I don't think... Oh, no, they do have Track. They don't see him, though, so that's a little bit awkward. The missile's still following. And they have a Lightning Bolt, so if they Lightning Bolt and then Track, no, it's actually going to be Royer to distract from that. They're going to pull him back with a Vacuum, and the missile will eventually connect to Boombacks, but now there's no follow-up. The Raxes are held for Mineski. I think that's fine.
Yeah, they kill off the Phantom Lancer, they kill off the Huskar. Those are two really big picks for them. BKB now up on the Huskar is going to make that harder for the next fight around, but he also buys out for that. They can't do anything in this duration. So although that's a hold for Mineski, it also doesn't advance the game state for them. It more or less just stalls. That was such a ballsy move coming out from the Phantom Lancer to dive in with that Satanic, and it almost works out for him. If he just had a little bit more help, and by a little bit more help I mean the Dazzle was alive, he died at the beginning and wasn't able to join that fast enough, I could have gone wonderfully for them. But yeah, the game state really hasn't changed much.
Phantom Lancer, at the very least, showing off how much he can do. Like, he dove in at, what, like 100 HP or something, turned on the Satanic, and just went to town on Mineski. If they don't have any stuns, at least no useful stuns, to actually lock down that PL, and even when they do have stuns, in theory, he has a BKB and a Manta Style to potentially dodge them, then the Phantom Lancer can, in theory, just crush the entirety of Mineski by himself. Jules, at this point, is still decently farmed as a Gyrocopter, not on the top of the net worth chart, but he's, you know, has the Butterfly, has Sanjin Yasha, he's pretty durable. He's just not doing enough damage to constantly clear out the PL's illusions. Even though PL hasn't gone for, you know, the most direct stat-heavy build, no Sanjin Yasha, no Heart of Tarrasque or anything like that, he's still tanky enough to withstand all the Gyrocopter flat cannon shots easily.
Weave on everybody coming up from MSI as they look for a smoke, and they might be able to cut off the Gyrocopter if they go to the north. Zeus ultimately going to scout out the smoke. Gyrocopter instantly TPing away, and the smoke isn't going to be successful, although Dazzle looking for a ward. Not going to end up placing it.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Mineski, they don't know that Dazzle just hugged their wall, so not going to be able to do anything like that. But we have a really short Roshan respawn. Was that short? It just felt short, maybe. He's back up alive, this time with Aegis and Cheese again, and this time with MSI in a better opportunity, in a better position rather, to take it. They're not going to be as fast as Mineski, I don't think. Maybe just as fast. Seems like just as fast, but it seems like Mineski there's way too far away to do anything about it. So now with Aegis and Cheese going for most likely the Huskar and Phantom Lancer in some way, now the high ground push is going to come. It's going to come in force.
The Cheese is instead going to be picked up by the Darks here, but other than that, pretty much as prescribed. The Phantom Lancer, we saw how aggressive he could dive, even with hardly any HP to his name with that Satanic. It's going to be even worse. DJ can go into the backlines and do pretty much whatever he wants, as long as he has his team behind him. And now they're pushing with the Dazzle too. MSI find themselves with a great situation where they can go for the high ground push with the Varix exposed in mid.
Echo Slam, though, ready for Cuckoo right now, and the dream is always real. A little bit more difficult now that there's a pipe being popped, but DJ inherently just makes a lot of units, and he's going to charge forward, looking for a Lance. Doppelgang not being used just yet. The Earthshaker, though, being forced out, needs to get this Blink Dagger available, but the illusions from the PL making things difficult. DJ going to Doppelgang out. Call down is there. Raxes are going to be fortified. No real initiation just yet. Here comes Cuckoo, though. Nothing's going to cancel his Blink Dagger just yet. If he whiffs this Blink Dagger, it's just potentially all over for Mineski. They're making pretty good usage of their AoE. They're clearing out most of the MSI units. No more creeps are here. Backdoor protection not quite going to kick in yet, but it should soon. Oh, this is really delicate. This Shaker needs to get a good Echo Slam off right now still, but the slow siege is going to commence. And DJ's illusions slowly but surely chipping down at these structures. Manta-style illusions, doppelgang illusions, illusions from everywhere. Shaker, all eyes on you. He's actually going to wrap around behind them. I did not see him getting to this position right now. Where is he going to jump in? Is he going to jump in at all? I don't know.
He's poised and ready. Cuckoo hasn't yet made his move yet, and they're going to look for the call down. Earthshaker, where is he going to come in? Onto the back lines, blowing up everybody. Huskar's still standing strong. They'll be able to kill off Jay with the gem on the deck. Phantom Lancer and Huskar are standing alone as both of his supports have died. Buyback on the Clinks. They'll be able to bring down the Rubik. Poor Rubik as he light breaks into the Huskar himself. Raven is not amused. Double kill for Raven, and I think MSI should back here, but my goodness, that was the best angle that they could have hoped for with the Earthshaker.
3-man Echo Slam, locked down, and killed off all of those 3, but despite that, the rest of the heroes are still pretty big. Raven gonna get held up as he tries to make his retreat, now veiled up, no damage there. Trolley is finally going to arrive with his damage, but instantly gets disarmed by the Heaven's Halberd, now torn to shreds by DJ, who's now gonna see Jules as well. There is another purge soon. Jules gonna try to TP out, looks like that should keep him alive. But with no Clinks, who just bought back, Raven and DJ are going to be walking around with no answer from Mineski. This should be Rax's at least one set for the MSI side.
Very easily could be game. Clinks is really the only damage that they have to deal with the Huskar. Gyrocopter has gone for a fairly defensive build and just doesn't have enough net worth to where he's a threat by himself, and DJ's going to go straight into them. Still sitting on that Aegis the Immortal and has BKB coming off the cooldown in just a couple seconds. Even though Raven's on like 600 HP, doesn't matter. He's going to leap forward for Jules, chasing forward for the Gyrocopter, although a missile is going to connect. Phantom Lancer goes into the backline, TP in by the Rubik, lift up onto Raven, but they're just not doing anything to him. Take a look at that damage. It's not very impressive at all, and Satanic's going to be popped by DJ. They'll chase forward. Another slow onto Jules. Will be able to get this kill under the shadow of their fountain. He will. Dominating spree for the Huskars. He picks that up. They'll lose the Aegis on the Phantom Lancer, but that's about it as Huskar goes to town onto the melee barracks bottom. Melee barracks are down to about half HP as Phantom Lancer dives into the well with all of his illusions. He's going to try to kill off both the Rubik and the Zeus here. Maybe a little bit over aggressive, but space created, I suppose, as Huskar continues to take down the structures.
Oh, he gets a Ghost Scepter. He's still fighting. He's gonna get some help now from Royer. Vacuum into a wall in the fountain. Okay, that was pretty baller. Like, he died, he buys back because he can. 2 racks have been taken, though. That Ghost Scepter purchase, man. That Ghost Scepter. Mineski only have Zeus and Earthshaker. It's all over for them. Jesse Vash is going to jump right into his own doom. Burned to death. No, he'll commit suicide, but does DJ want to go in for round 2 versus the Fountain? Seems like he's thinking about it. There's still a wall there, which I don't think is going to do that much, but yeah, this seems like it's game over.
Yeah, pretty much. There's 7,600 gold on the Huskar. Phantom Lancer are also sitting on a pretty bank. They'll start books down the throne, but Clinks is back up and running. They're going to open up into Boombox. Boombox is going to drop low, but it's too late. This is going to be game 2 over as MSI strike back, tying the series 1-1.
Alright, so now we have a best of 3 on our hands, it seems. This game took a hell of a long time to actually end, but turns out Phantom Lancer's a pretty good late game hero. Not much that Mineski could actually do about that. When you have a Clinks, when you have the Gyrocopter, you really need to get things going a little bit earlier. Zeus as well. We saw in the final stages of that game, Zeus really didn't do that much. Thunder God's Wrath is nice for scouting, but with no Refresher Aghanims combo, kind of an underwhelming hero. It seems like Shaker is doing more across the board. And guys, with that, should be the end of game 2. So we're in best of 3 state right now. MSI and Mineski going to be fighting in game 3 in just a little bit, guys. I'm Mikelorus. I've been joined by GrandisV. And we'll both be right back for Game 3 from the Grand Finals of the NXTGame Invitational. Don't go anywhere, guys.